Sunday. What's today? Today is August 24th. About 26 days. Sunday, August 24th. 3 puffs of Mago. Remembering to reduce my dosage from 4 down to 3 the next couple weeks. And then down back to 2. Every 2 weeks, reduce the number of puffs you need. It's medicine, it's not permanent Band-Aid, right? Medicine you take, and then you take less of it until you don't need it anymore. Especially medicine that's meant to heal from something. If you're depending on it, you're not really healing from something, you're just escaping from something. Go try to talk less. One of the, I wouldn't call it cons, call it one of the benefits that can be, that you have to kind of watch out for is I talk a lot more. A lot of like thoughts come freely. And so I just talk and talk and talk, and I wander. And I get lost and I lose what I was originally wanting to talk about. Like I had a course charted, and then I start talking, and then I end up completely somewhere else. And sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a problem. Because sometimes I want to deep dive and not wander around thoughts. I want to deep dive in one particular thought. I think it's pretty normal to only superficially talk about things, but talk superficially about a million things. And it's good for light, superficial get together, but for those that are not a big fan of small talk, who want to do deep dives, because deep dives you actually discover dark hidden things. But then again, some people don't like dark, deep diving, hidden things. They like to stay superficial. I think it's because they're afraid. They've got some dark, really ugly, dark, hidden things hiding down there, and they don't want to look at that. Like, take what's going on in Gaza. Seems like 10% of the people are like, "Are you looking at this? We have to do something about it." And then the other 90% of people are like, "It's too terrible to look at. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. I'm going to ignore it." We have to all get together and say something about this. No, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to get involved. I want to stay neutral. Yeah, I'm just going to stay silent about it. Or a common one I hear, I think, who said it recently? I think Mario, a month or so ago, was like, "I don't know enough about it to say anything about it." And I'm like, It's out there because I say a lot about it, right? What they're really saying is, I'm shutting my ears so that I don't about it, and then I can say I don't know enough about it. Ignoring the fact they're doing this. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it. That's what Mario said to me. Or act like I don't know anything about. I don't know enough about it, so I can't really speak. And he thought like that was a good escape, but really what I saw is, I know nothing. I know nothing. I know nothing. Yeah, if you know nothing because you've intentionally covered your eyes to it. That's such a bullshit way that people lie. That's how people are deceptive. Right? They don't say, I'm intentionally being ignorant and I'm intentionally ignoring what's going on. Instead, they just say, I don't know. Right? It's deceptive. It's a lie. It's a cop-out. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And yeah. So I'm not hanging out so much with him or talking so much with him anymore. It's like not just him. It's almost everybody. You can see as people who are selfish, people that I don't want in my community, right? If when the entire planet collapses, there's going to be some survivors, and some of those survivors will be people that are able to group up into communities of like 50 to 100 people. And you're only gonna want good, trustful people. People that don't bullshit, people that don't make lies, people that aren't selfish. You're gonna want people in your little community that are good people, that when terrible things are being committed, they're gonna speak out against it. Right? There's a lot of people on this planet who, if the mafia offers them money, whatever their price is, they will do what you ask them to do. It doesn't matter if you're a woman and they ask you to be a prostitute, or if you ask you to be an assassin or a thug, or just be a crooked cop and take bribes and not arrest the rapists, right? That's the world we live in. We live in a world where there's so many people who, either for money or indirectly, they allow themselves to be bought out and controlled. A lot of people that are easily controlled. So when Mario tells me, I don't know enough about the situation in Gaza, what he really means is, I'm doing my best to ignore the situation in Gaza so that I don't know enough about it, so that I can plead ignorance. Because I'm under control. I'm controlled by the people committing crimes. So I have to be silent and I have to ignore. So these are the people that are all around me, especially here in Brazil. I don't know what I expected when I came here. I thought it would be a lot better. I thought there would be a lot more people rebelling against the system, right? I thought I had found my rebels that I could join up with. And little by little, more and more, I see the signs that I've been ignoring, that they are not rebels. They are not free thinkers. They are literal carbon copies. I mean, they might be different than the mainstream. You know, I find, I guess we'll call it alternative people. People trying to be hippies and whatnot. Yeah, that's what they are. That's mostly the only type of people I've encountered here in Brazil are the hippies. And just like the problem of the white hippies in the 60s and 70s in the US, right? They preach a lot of love and good vibes, do a lot of drugs together, make a lot of love, do a little dance, get down tonight, get down tonight. You know what I'm talking about? Like those type of people they're not truly rebels. They're not true revolutionaries. But here I am spending time thinking about how other people are not this and other people are not that. Getting into woe is me victimhood. Oh, there aren't any people in this world who are like me. Woe is me. Forever alone. Forever alone. Forever alone. And here I am, here I am alone. Talking to my cell phone alone. And weird Brazilians that take time out of their life to message nonsense. Stepping out of the US and coming to Brazil, you become really observant when you're in a different country, in a different culture. Like all the things you grew up in the U.S. or your hometown or whatever, you don't notice it because minute little things. You don't notice minute little things because it's always been that way since you were walking around as a baby. But then when you move to a different country and start all over, it really is like being reborn and having to be and being a baby all over again. So now I'm like noticing how often Brazilians do X and how that differs from anything you see in the US or Korea or wherever. And most people aren't privileged enough to travel to other countries, to other places, so they don't know that what they're doing is unique to their country. Like I'm gonna sound like I'm complaining, but I'm not. I'm just trying to I'm just being truthful, all right? And it might sound negative. It might sound like I'm complaining, like I'm unappreciative, and wish it were different. But yeah, I don't really have time. I don't want to. I don't have time for that. Instead, I'm just listing out like an author describing the setting, describing the characteristics, describing the clothes or appearance of whatever, everything, just to create the setting. And the setting is me constantly having to spend 5 seconds every interaction for someone who's so fixated on my appearance, right? My appearance primarily as an Asian guy. As an Asian guy, someone will come up to me like, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee. And I have to be like, oh yeah. I know who Bruce Lee is, Jackie Chan is. And it's not new to me in Brazil only. Yeah, I got it back when I was in high school and middle school. It was a lot more offensive in the U.S. And I'm trying to figure out if I was overly sensitive. Like one of the guys, like I wanted to fight. It was like this Salvadorian kid. Um, guess he immigrated to the U.S. And I think he would be like the perfect example for the MAGA pro-ICE deport immigrants voting bloc, the Trumpers. He would actually be a good example because, yeah, he just came to the U.S., wasn't at all trying to spread positivity. He was out there like just wanting to bully and fight. And probably involved in some gang life stuff. Whatever Latino gang. And randomly, he would like barely ever show up for class or whatever. He'd always be trying to get in trouble. Like he wasn't just like a street criminal doing robberies and stuff for money and then staying, whatever, hard, being all hard in class. He was going out of his way to clown on people, hoping it would create a fight. So he was like a menace. He was trying to be a menace. And wanting to fight anyone and everyone. Hated everyone, I guess you could say. And yeah, one day we were in some class and he set his sight on me and he started trying to instigate me, calling me Jackie Chan. And yeah, like, I don't know, I just was like, okay, I'm just gonna ignore him because there's nothing you can really. But he didn't like that. He wanted me to have to step up. And it bothered me a lot as well. Like I had already been getting that for my entire life, but why is it, if I've been getting it so often, why is it still bothering me? And that's what I'm trying to sit here talk through right now. Because right here, there's racist people. There's Mateus Grimmers. He's saying pastel de flango. He's making fun of Asian people because they don't have the R letter in the alphabet. Spanish has perro. And Portuguese has frango. Perro, frango. So he's making fun of Asian people that can't say frango. They have to say flango. Frango. And a lot of Brazilians love to shout that at Asian people and laugh hard. Like that's their... It's like I don't know, like there's lots of languages in the world and different accents. You don't see people see an Italian guy and then without fail, like every live, go back through all my lives, you can see the message or the comments in the on the screen. If I was living as an Italian guy, if I was like, yeah, I'm Italian, would everyone in the comments be like, Mamma mia, pizzaroni? Ha 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 ha! That's a good one. Mamma mia! Ha ha! And it's not. You would think, okay, maybe like 10-year-olds think that's hilarious, and they've done and done that joke dozens of times. These are like 50-year-old people who've done this joke like 200 times in their life anytime they see an Asian person. Like this Mateus Guimarães. Without a doubt, he's taken time out of his life to sit and type Pastel de Flango 150 times in his life. Every time he sees an Asian person, he's going into his phone, Pastel de Flango. Like literally it's a good 30 minutes, their entire life spending the same joke. But I know it doesn't bother me here in Brazil. I'm guessing, and I can't figure out why it doesn't bother me. I guess it's like back then, I was angry at the other person. It was like random hate. And back then I was like ashamed of my Asianness because I felt like it was a negative, right? Because when everybody's haha making fun of your race in some way or another, Jackie Chan, Jackie Chan. It's hard not to be self-hating as a kid. You grow up being around white people or whatever people your neighborhood has, and you don't have this image of yourself that you're different. You feel normal, or you want to be normal as a kid, but then you meet all this hate and people trying to inflict pain with words. Like they take pleasure inflicting pain with words. And so, like, I became like an angry Asian man. I think there was a website even. Back when they had message boards, you used to have to make a website. And it was like all about the struggles Asian men have in the West, because everyone likes to make fun of or antagonize or belittle. That's it. They like to belittle. Westerners love to belittle Asians. This is what they do. Right? They're saying Asians have small penises. Right? That's an attack. Right? These are people who have never seen. Right? And yet they say, perhaps they've seen some Asian porn or whatever, but there's really not that much Asian porn. But yeah, that's one way I've changed. Is I'm no longer angry at that person. I feel like, ugh, that's sad. Yeah, I do feel like that's sad. I think I've developed supremacy of my Asianness, right? White supremacists believe the Western world and white culture, European culture is the best. It's Eurocentric, right? Stop scratching the couch! And that's why I would get angry as a kid. That's why. It was because I also believed white, European, Western culture was the best. My parents believed that. That's why they immigrated to the US. So now I don't believe that. Now I see it as a sad, sad culture. White, European, Western culture is an attempt to validate and prove they are better than other cultures. What is white culture? White culture is white people doing what they can to validate and prove that they are supreme. And what is supreme, right? Because supreme in what? Supreme in being criminals, the best criminals? That's supremacy. Supremacy on a criminal scale, but supremacy. Supremacy at war, conquering, genocide. Like there's literally like men that actually take pride in. We have the best. We win all the wars. Even though they don't, they love to believe that they can and will win all wars because they are just the most supreme warriors. Military supremacy, they love it. But is that supremacy? That's criminality. you had 10 brothers and sisters, and each brother and sister was good in one aspect. They're all different. They were good in, but they all had something valuable. One person was a good, listener, right? They're able to understand exactly what you're saying and feeling. Da 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 da. They ask good questions. They da 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 da. Another brother or sister, they're a good talker. They don't really listen, but they just see what's going wrong and they tell you, this is what you're doing wrong. You need to do this and this and this and this. And many times they're right. But they're not good listeners. What if one sibling said, I'm the best because I can beat all of you up and tell you what to do, force you to do what I want you to do, using violence and physical strength. I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest and I'm the biggest. More importantly, I'm the biggest and strongest. Because of that, I get to bully, abuse, inflict pain and suffering and punishment, and basically extort everyone to serve me. He thinks he's supreme because of that. But everyone else, all the other 9 brothers and sisters, we don't think you're supreme. We think you need help. Or you need to be removed from the family because you're a criminal. You're a criminal doing bad things to the family, to the community, to the country, to the people. So I'll admit, when I was a kid, brainwashed by my parents and the whole country, I was like, yeah, America's the best. We have the best army. We nuked Japan. We kicked the Nazis' asses. We kicked da-da-da-da-da. That was like ingrained in us. But then I think 9/11 was the big turning point for me, I think. Before that, there were a little bit of signs saying, hey, you know what? I don't think the country that exists because of millions of tortured African slaves and millions of genocided Native Americans, I don't think they are the best. They're just the most ruthless criminals willing to steal, grape, genocide, and enslave. But then the 2000s came, and then all the Middle East and all the vitriol and hatred against Asians being an economic powerhouse. Anyways, I'm wondering, aren't I? Good to meditate, to get back. Right. So what I was getting at is now I have a different measuring stick of supremacy. Instead of military and criminal, supremacy, enforcing supremacy by force. I see supremacy by how much how much someone or some culture is helping bring comfort, happiness, freedom. And I spent the last 5 years really learning about my ancestry with different eyes. And I really see the difference in helping versus hurting between European culture and Eastern culture. And more recently, ever since the my home got colonized by Zayo, I realized, okay, the reason why Western culture is not at all good at helping people is because they are controlled by a cult that is all about sacrificing and harming people. They're a community of criminals that have grown from a small tribe in the desert into the bankers that hire and pay everyone to participate in human sacrifice and slavery. So, yeah, now it's some people call it capitalist, very capitalist planet, but they tiptoe around who own the most capitalistic enterprises, corporations, and governments. Who own them? It's the capitalists. Don't say the apple juice. It's the capitalists. Connect the dots, people. All right. So yeah, at this point, having seen both sides, hearing both the Western and Eastern histories, I've looked into their histories. It's clear the West is superior and supreme only in murdering people. Like they build the best guns, bombs, nuclear weapons, tanks. Right? Ever since the cannon, ever since they modernized weapons, they went into overdrive mode of supremacy. And not that they had the best religion, the best morals, the best sustainable economic system. No, they just had the best cannons and guns and bombs. And so they stole and took what they wanted. Made themselves super wealthy just stealing people and resources. They stole African people in order to obtain and farm American resources. And when I say American, I mean all the Americas. That's the reality. And then they call themselves supreme based on, look at their fancy, French Riviera streets. Look how fancy London is. Look how many supercars there are. And tall, long-legged, blonde trophy wife models there are. And then these right-wing, pro-white, pro-Westerner, pro-capitalism dudes are all like, every other country's a shithole. Look at us. We're on yachts. Like, that doesn't make you more supreme. That just shows that you're all like criminals, robbing the entire world. For what? For yachts and supercars. Like, at least Japan told themselves that they were enslaving the Koreans in order for them to mount, basically to unite all of Asia to be strong against and be able to stand up against the warmongering Westerners, right? That's what the Japanese believed. On a superficial level, that's what they were saying. That's what they said they were doing. And not that they were 100% lying. I think it was 50% true. The biggest problem for Asia at that time was that Japan, Korea, China, Vietnam, Philippines, Taiwan, Hong Kong, all of the chopstick people were divided into, these 6 or 7, 8 countries, separate countries. And none of them alone could stand up to the military might of the West. They had tanks and bombers and... All right, this is before World War II. Before World War I. Around the French Revolution times. And Japan said, well, we don't stand a chance. And this is where they made a fatal flaw. They should have somehow convinced Korea, China, Vietnam, all these other countries to unite all together, industrialize, modernize, build up their steel industry, to build up their military, all of that to protect themselves. Like China was isolationist. Japan, Korea, they're all isolationists, all thinking about themselves, all ignoring what was going on in Africa and the US, or before even US existed. $300 Korea, China, and Japan were ignoring, well, Jews and Christians are enslaved in Africa and using them to pillage wealth from all the other nations, or even coming so far as come to India. They're stealing our technology for making green tea and matcha and silk. They should have united, but they didn't. And then when Japan, instead of trying to unite them at the last minute, they just by force enslaved, or did their best to enslave China, Japan, Philippines, all that, and Taiwan. So they became the imperial power in the Asian side, and they really turned everyone into, Americans call it fascist. Europeans don't think about fascists this way, but fascists are people that, or at least Americanized, they think other people don't have value. So fascists want to imprison, enslave, or genocide all other people, viewing them as inferior. And so they believe it's their right to command, order, and control all other people. So yeah, I mean, that's just a little bit of Asian history. Been learning a lot of Asian history. My ancestors. What's interesting is in the West you have pretty much white people and black people, like people that in Africa, they're black and they stay black. And I mean, like, it's not a matter of spending time in the sun and becoming black. It's like they're born very black and they stay black, and they have no ability to lighten their skin. And then on the other side of the Mediterranean, there's white Europeans who are the same way, but on the opposite side of the coin. Instead of being born black and not having a choice to lighten or tan, they're born white and they don't have a choice or option to darken. Like they literally burn. The redheads, they're like albino people. They don't have the melatonin that will tan, So I just find that interesting. It's kind of that's all race is, right? Black, white. People that come out pre-tan to the fullest, right? They don't need to go spend hours in a tanning salon or at the beach or at the pool. They're born preloaded with the melatonin to be out in the sun all day, right? They come out with a good skin color that lets them not get burned in the sun. And on the other side of the Mediterranean, right there on the same side of the planet, but just, a short trip over the Gibraltar, Strait across the Mediterranean from Spain into Africa, you got completely different people, dark-skinned. And for Westerners listening to me, you're like, okay, we've always known this. Why is that so weird? It is weird because from my own personal perspective, even though I was raised in America, as a kid, there were summers where every morning, wake up around 8, have a bowl of cereal, watch cartoons, and then go around to the pool. Get on my bike, hop on the bike, and go to the pool. And all the other kids would be there, and we just raise hell without any parents around. But I'd spend all day at the pool. And I remember one of the lifeguards there. Everybody at the pool is, a neighborhood kid, and everyone working at the pool is a neighborhood teenager. And one of the guys was this Asian guy, and he was like the manager, and we'd have to always we need an ID card to get in. We have to take a swim test in order to be at the pool without parents and everything. Anyways, we had to deal with this manager a lot. And we're 10-year-old kids. And pretty sure he's in high school, maybe college. But since he's working at the pool as a lifeguard manager, he's also in the sun just as much as me as a kid. And I would notice by midsummer, after 30 days straight of being in the sun for 12 hours a day, both me and him were black as hell. We were black. We tanned. Each day we tanned a little bit more. Each day we were in the sun, we tanned a shade darker. So after 30 days in the sun, 30 shades, we're African black. 2 Asian people, African black. And I would look at him and be like, whoa, you're like an Asian black. And then he'd be like, go look in the mirror. I'm like an Asian black. As a 10-year-old, I was like, oh, Asian people, we're fluidly colored. If we're not in the sun, we become really white. After if I spend a week out of the sun, I'm right back to being white again. Really like one of those lizards that change colors, or octopuses that match their surroundings. We would change a lot. And it wasn't like we were white people that can't tan, that have to hide from the sun all the time, have to worry about cancer, skin cancer all the time. And we weren't black, who were just naturally tanned from birth. We have to actually like work on it. Like black people don't have to work to build a tan that's resistant to getting sunburned. They don't have to work for it. Asian people have to work for it. It takes a good 30 days of getting more and more sun each day and developing that tan. And you have to continue working for it, because if you go a week without sun, you lose that dark skin, melanin, whatever. And when you lose it, you're prone to get sunburned again. So you have to slowly build up your tan and build up your suntan resistance. And then in the winter, it's impossible. And so basically, as a kid, I would become black by August. And then by October, November, I'm white again, pale. And you would definitely see it, like when I would play sports, we wear these football gloves. I would take off the gloves just from one day of practice or whatever, and it's like white, and then like black right up to my glove line. Like if you were to take sunscreen and write on me, you would see it each day. Tan a lot. An entire shade in one day. And but it's not permanent. It's temporary. Fluid. Asians are all about being fluid. Asians are all about being fluid. That's why we're fluid colored. We're not yellow like they say. We're fluid. We're white when we want to be white. And right now, a lot of Asians are white because they worship whiteness. And so they're trying to be white. They think white is beautiful because of fashion and marketing, colonization, imperialism, white supremacy. It infected Asian people. And so now Asians intentionally cover themselves and hide from the sun, not because they will get sunburned, but because they don't want to get tan. That's what white people don't understand. And yeah, so you can look up old photos of like Korea, my country, my parents' country. And you can find farmers who have to farm all day in like 1920, 1930, whatever. When camera technology came out and people started to travel the world and take photos, and they show like black Koreans, and they're not African. A lot of African pro-black people who are trying to build up their self-esteem are saying like, they're trying to say black people existed in all these countries and continents, and in a sense they're right, but in a sense they're wrong. Like I believe it as well, that Koreans 15,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, came from Africa. Like there was a migration, right? Africa was the cradle of humanity, and various, what do you call it, species of humans, like Neanderthals, Homo erectus, blah, 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 blah. They all came from Africa at various phases. right? A phase of Africans, for whatever reason, climate or war or famine, blah, 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 had to leave Africa. They go out, maybe even go out on boats, and end up wherever. We're talking like tens and tens of thousands of years ago. Um, and then a new phase, 5,000, 10,000 years later, another phase, another phase. And some phases end up all the way up in New Zealand and Australia. The Aboriginal pretty much look black African. That's why. That's why they say we all came from Africa. Yeah. They migrated out. And Asians migrated out and changed slightly over time due to environmental conditions. It's sunny for 3 months of the year or 6 months of the year, and it's cloudy and cold for the other 6 months. Not to mention the days that are cloudy and rainy for both. But nature decided, you know what? Let's be fluid. Like, let's change colors with the seasons. Let's harmonize with the changing seasons here in the cold part of Asia. Let's harmonize this, huh? 6 months it's warm, 6 months it's cold. Let's do 6 months of being black and 6 months of being white. Let's harmonize. 6 months our bodies are summer, 6 months our bodies are winter. 6 months we're African, 6 months we're European. Whatever you want to think about it. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't think people. I try to explain what I'm talking about to people, and they look like like I'm crazy. They really don't grasp. It just completely is not fitting their worldview. It's like people's worldview is this, and I'm showing them this, and they're like, "What?" Oh, no, they're like this, and I'm showing them this, and it's like, no, they're only looking here. They're only looking here. I'm trying to show them this, but it takes for them to tilt 90 degrees. Otherwise, they just see a cropped, small section of what I'm showing. So yeah, I'm here trying to get everyone to think like me. Because I think it'll help avoid a lot of bullshit. Because like I was saying, Asians are Africans that immigrated to Asia over 10, 20,000 years ago and slowly morphed from being completely black all the time, like Africans are, to being fluid, where we're black sometimes and white sometimes, depending on how much melanin and darkness we developed for our bodies. And when we don't need it anymore, we let it go. We let go of our color. We're not attached to being black. We like being black during the summer. And when it's winter, we have no attachment to remaining black. So we said, all right, let's just let our body release the melanin and we'll go to being white. But yeah, I think around imperialism time, when the Portuguese and British and American forces forced their way into Asia, I think Asians developed a white worship, and they don't want to be black at all. Koreans have this thing. I think it's only Koreans. You can Google Conan Korean spa. But I went to one in Korea for the first time on my trip a couple years ago. Took Amanda too. And Koreans go into a room and they sandpaper off the top layer of skin. It's not real sandpaper. It's like sandpaper, like glued. It's like sand glued onto cloth, so it's abrasive. And they rub off the top layer until they're red. And this top layer of skin, they're trying to rub off their tan. They're trying to be white. And they literally enjoy it. Physically, it's painful. It's literally, how can it not be painful? But they enjoy mentally the idea of becoming whiter. Even though temporarily they're just becoming red, like a lobster. You'll see a bunch of lobster red Koreans sitting on a tiny plastic stool in a group shower. And then they even like homoerotically do it for each other because you can't reach all spots. Like, how do you get your bag or whatever? So like two naked strangers were like rubbing each other, trying to get off any blackness. But that's a question that I have is there are a lot of what I call OG true Koreans that don't buy into that shit. Not a lot. There's a few that are farmers, right? They're farmer people. They don't give a fuck. They darken the tan, they're fine. Like, skin cancer wasn't a fear for Asians back then. And so, they're probably 60, 70 years old, been working outside their entire life. They don't give a shit what upper class city Koreans think about them as a dark person, as a country bumpkin. But yeah, that's my question is, do those people ever go to the spa as well and do, it's called dae. My dad tried to kill me one time, or at least bludgeon me as hard as he could with a clothes drying rack. They're like accordion style. Like that's the closest thing he could grab, and he chased me around the house with a fury because he was like, "Jeff, come here, do that." And I'm an American. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I like my skin. And yeah, he became enraged, like a demon took over. He just, huh? Picking up this clothes drying rack. And I'm like running around the kitchen island. I'm running from the kitchen to the study to the living room to the dining room, and worried he's gonna double back, like like he would. I'm like outrunning him, so he would double back, and I'd have to. And it was like my sister was the only one in the house, like going, "What the fuck is going on?" And I'm looking to my sister to help me, but what's she gonna do? He outweighs both of us. My dad was always a big guy for Korean. And like all the kids in the neighborhood were afraid of him. They always thought he was like 6'7", like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like I'm talking like when we're like 9, 10, 11. All the kids were afraid of my dad. Or when we run into bullies, we'd be like, let's go get Jeff's dad. Like he was like Arnold Schwarzenegger to us. But yeah, I'd always have to be like, my dad's not 6'7". I'd always have to bring them back to reality. But his voice, I think, is just energy. There was a lot of kids see the aura, not the actual physical. They see that aura that people have about themselves. And my dad has an aura of like brute strength, power, like power, yeah. And he pretty much, he's like a tank, physically. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. I need to go back and watch my videos and take note of when I start to run off in thought. Not to self-criticize, only to analyze how my mind works. So I can understand my mind and how it works. I can control it better. Problem is I forget what I was talking about. I need to leave breadcrumbs behind, or like notes to remember what I was talking about as I wander. I don't know, let's go back. We were talking about how Asians are not yellow, we are fluid. We're black when we want to be black, we white when we want to be white. It just takes about 30 days of tanning or not tanning. 30 days of hiding from the sun and whatnot. And I explained Asians hide from the sun nowadays because they are afraid of tanning. The world is very racist against blacks, so they don't want to be looked at like how whites look at blacks. and they want to look at white. They want to get nose surgery to have a white nose. They want to get eye surgery to have a white eyes. They want to get colored contacts to have white eye coloring. They dye their hair to have white colored hair. White people hair. Blonde hair on Asians is so trashy. I don't mean like just tacky. I mean tacky, but I mean like, wow, our minds have been turned to trash by white supremacy. Asians' minds have been turned to trash by white supremacy. And I say that because when I look at all the Asians who clearly demonstrate in every way possible that they find Asian features to be ugly and worship the characteristics of white people, white skin, blonde hair, blue eyes. The number of Asians I see dyeing their hair blonde, getting plastic surgery on their eyes and nose, and just in general, adopting a clothing style, makeup style, hairstyle, surgically mutilating their eyes and their nose, and even constantly using phone filters, all to make them look white as possible. I got an argument on RedNote when it became really popular because of the TikTok ban, and a lot of Americans suddenly went there. There were chat rooms, really lively chat rooms, and there was one gay black guy. These gay black people are the most they're just so angry. They're angry at being discriminated for being gay and black, and so they just don't function. And I asked a genuine question, like, why do you get so angry about the word colored people and not angry at people of color? It's literally colored people. No, you better not say colored people. People of color. It's the same two fingers, two words. It's just the position of the words. That's of all the things people could be angry about, that people should be angry about, who taught you that the position of two words in relation to the other, left or right, which word comes first, which word comes second, who taught you that's what you should be angry about? And this kid blew up at me. I lost my train of thought again. Anyways, this kid blew up at me. And it's because I started to get into a really indignant mode, like a negative vibration. And so I lost my trail of breadcrumbs. I need to keep my joy and not get into, man, this kid annoyed me. Did he annoy me for another reason besides that? Clean. Annoyance. But yeah, regarding so black people are also happen to be finding old pictures of Koreans or Asians or Native Americans who are also Asians, different migrations by boat or by Bering Strait, but by boat as well. Filipinos, they're islands. Hawaii, an island. How did people get there? Asians had boats over 10,000 years ago. And they didn't just go to Hawaii, they went to South America. But yeah, there are a lot of black people, not a lot. These black people are seeing these pictures of very dark Native Americans and Asians and Filipinos. And these photos are what, 100 years old? 80 years old? 100 to 80 years old? 100 to 80 years ago, they were Africans in the Americas. These are what these certain black people are saying, and I think they're paid conspiracy theorists, people that are paid to create falsehoods just to add to confusion and distrust of conspiracy theories. So there's one true conspiracy where the rich and powerful are trading and trafficking, and selling and buying kids like trading cards, collecting a new kid, and then they do terrible things because what better way to demonstrate how incredibly powerful they are than to do unspeakable things to someone that doesn't have any power. That's the kind of like the sexual perverted fetish that they're dealing with, right? What is sexual attraction? It's polarity, disparity. So a masculine man is going to be attracted to a very effeminate, delicate woman, and vice versa. The super dainty, weak, effeminate woman, she's not going to be attracted to not so masculine man. She's going to be attracted to that muscle man with the beard and the dark curly voice. Those two people have polarity, and there's a sexual dynamic that exists between that difference. And yes, it does also exist for other types of polarity, not just masculine and feminine, but age. Younger women, whether they like to broadcast it or talk about it or not, a lot of them know secretly that there's an attraction to older men for younger women. And what is that? It's just polarity. It's what it is, the power difference. The power that a man has from having 40, 50 years of experience on the planet, power of more knowledge, whatnot, versus an 18-year-old model. Right? They all are with the 40, 50-year-old publisher, photographer, cinema producer, or Leonardo DiCaprio, movie star, who's 58 years old. There's a disparity, difference. Opposites attract. Old, young, masculine, feminine, XYZ. Okay, I've been going on about this. So what? Well, when you become a billionaire, when the apple juice decides to let you be a billionaire with them, they make sure you really love being a billionaire, as in like I think a lot of us, we would like to be a billionaire, but not to make it, or not to be a billionaire because it's just so yummy to be a billionaire, right? It's not a hunger. It's more like, oh, I would use that to help all my family and all my friends, and I would do so much good. I would like buy giant swaths of the Amazon and protect it. I would have like an awesome sanctuary to rescue all the poor, hurt animals, or to rescue all the homeless dogs and cats, and do so many good things. I think most of us have that in us. They don't want that. They don't want those people to become billionaires, right? Name one billionaire protecting the environment. Name one billionaire. Like even me, I would just love to um, set up a hidden camera and just go around helping people with $300. Every day, help 10 people with $300. Right? Not life changing, but certainly a great gift that will help them or their family or their just give them something good to have about the day, and just create creative ways to give out $300. And yeah, I could spend 2 hours a day doing that. It would be amusing, and then um, after each interaction, it's like what, $3,000 a day? That's nothing. That's 100. That's like yeah, less than $500,000 a year. Billionaires have that capability, but none of them are doing it. That doesn't appeal to any of them. Now, what that means is the opposite does appeal to them. The idea of having such immense wealth to not help the world, but to hurt. or to get away with doing hurt and harm. And to get away with doing hurt and harm that is so commonly